Correspondent Dana Bash is in Michigan. She's joining us now. You spoke to some Democrats, Dana, who are very open about it. There are no excuses. They say, you know what? They're holding their nose. They're voting for Santorum because they want Romney, in effect, to lose.
That's right. Rick Santorum isn't the only one engaging in so-called dirty tricks. Democrats I talked to, they admit that they're doing this. They're openly and aggressively trying to get Democratic voters to go out for Rick Santorum, and they have very politically crass, specific goals. Help President Obama by throwing the Republican contest into more chaos, and also embarrass Mitt Romney right here in his home state of Michigan.
Do not forget to vote today, especially if you care about your future. Every single person that touched this show today, every single person said they were voting for Santorum.
I'm Tony Tripiano, and I'm a radio talk show host.
A liberal radio talk show host.
A liberal, proudly a liberal radio talk show host.
You are a proud liberal.
I am a proud liberal.
And here you are telling Democrats to go vote for somebody who's perhaps the most conservative Republican in the race.
Absolutely. Unequivocally, yes. Do I think Rick Santorum would be a weaker candidate? Of course he would be.
You're making a little mischief. You can admit that.
Absolutely. Love making a little mischief. Off we go. Let's go vote. Let's go play Republican for 3 minutes. Just checked off that Republican Party on there. Yowza, yowza.
So how many Democrats are actually going to come to a voting place like this and vote for Rick Santorum? We're not sure, but we did run into somebody who came to do exactly that.
My name is Krista Larson. I'm a Democrat.
You just voted in the Republican primary.
I sure did. And,
why?
You know, it's my way of protecting Obama.
And you voted for Rick Santorum.
I did. Yeah.
Look at the look on your face.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I made a deal with the devil. Voting for Santorum goes against everything I believe in, everything I've ever stood for in my life.
I'm Joe DeSano. I'm a Democratic strategist in the state of Michigan. For the past 7 days, we've been organizing and creating a list of Democrats who have committed to vote for Santorum in today's election. We believe that we have 14,000 solid commitments that we're working to turn out today in the primary. When we're done, they're going to have to buy Pepto-Bismol by the gallon at the RNC.
This is Gary Zielinski, and you are a Democrat.
Yes.
And you went in there and you voted for?
Santorum.
Obviously not a Democrat. Why'd you do it?
I'm fed up with things.
Why do you consider voting for Rick Santorum a protest vote?
Because it's going to throw the GOP into some turmoil. This is my way of saying, hey, I've had enough.
Now, we spent some time this morning with the Democratic chair of the state, Mark Brewer, and he said that the official line and the official policy is not to encourage Democrats to cross over and make mischief, but they're also not actively discouraging it either. He also, Wolf, made the point, and it actually is probably a valid point, that Democrats wouldn't even have the ability to create any kind of mischief if Mitt Romney didn't have such a tight race on his hands, if Rick Santorum weren't so close, nipping at his heels here. You
know, it was interesting. I saw some tweets in the course of the day. Michael Moore, who's a resident of Michigan, a very well-known resident of Michigan, even he is getting involved in this Republican contest. Have you seen those reports, Dana?
Yes, I have. I've seen the tweets, just exactly what you're talking about, and it certainly isn't surprising because this has very much been going on. In fact, for about a week or even more, that has been the active campaign, but even longer, there has been a lot of buzz on the internet, and there still is on a national level. Well, if it's not just going to be Michigan, even the Daily Kos, the liberal blog, they're saying start in Michigan, but there are several other contests coming up with the same kind of open primary rules, and they're encouraging Democrats to get out and do it in the other states. But in this particular state, it has a long history of crossover voting and some mischief.
If it's close, and we fully expect it will be very, very close, this Democratic crossover, the independents who are showing up as well, that could be decisive right now. Dana, thanks very much. Let's go back to Anderson. You got more on what we're calling the mischief vote out there, Anderson.
The mischief vote. Yeah, let's check in with Brooke Baldwin over the social media area that she's monitoring. What have you been looking at the last couple of hours?
Again, I'm surprised the word mischief is yet to trend. I'm predicting now that it might. So basically, we're also looking on Twitter, the trend of possibly with Democrats voting, might this, change things for Santorum versus Romney? Take a look at this. And this is initially the story. This is essentially from 8 this morning until now. And if you advance a graphic, not a huge difference between your Santorum and your Romney here. But I want to clear this I want to pull up a couple of different tweets because I know Dana talked to someone who said, a Democrat in Michigan wanted to take a shower after voting for Santorum. This person voted for Santorum. I just voted for Santorum here in Michigan.
This person is a cat with a hat.
This person is a cat with a hat.
We
do not judge.
Here?
We're quoting a cat because this person is a voter in Michigan, and that person counts. Every vote counts, Anderson Cooper.
Meow.
I said loudly that I was a Dem, but wanted to vote GOP just this time. Turnout was awful. Hopefully we're not